Hello everyone, this is POW Ponder on Weather, and this update, we're going to be talking about some very large hail, some 70-mile-per-hour winds, and dangerous flash flooding. So if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel, as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. This is your afternoon update. First of all, I wanted to give a big thank you for out there for helping me reach 70,000 followers. I really can't believe it, guys. I greatly appreciate it. I put out daily videos and sometimes twice a day like this one when there's really a lot going on. So, hey, welcome to the channel, and I appreciate you staying with me, and let's get right to it. So let's take a look at the overall rainfall amounts first for the last 3 days, and this is what we've been dealing with this this little invest that's been coming ashore here shortly and off the coast of Florida. They had a lot of heavier rains impacting the state for the past couple of days, but the big story has been out here in the desert Southwest and the monsoon season. Yeah, places like in and around Phoenix picked up 5 inches just in the last 3 days. Places that's getting some much needed rainfall in Southern California into Los Angeles, into Las Vegas here, and that moisture is spreading upwards into Utah now. So a lot of heavier and dangerous flash flooding up there, but they desperately need the rain, but they're getting it in a short amount of time. And they're along these boundaries here, they've also picked up some heavier rain into the higher upper plains here, and then also up here in the Ohio Valley, getting into the mid-Atlantic states and the Northeast as well. It's been a very active time. And then, but look, I mean, here's the drought. I mean, this is what we've been deeply concerned about. This is the latest update as far as July the 22nd goes. And I mean, we're talking states that have 100% drought. So these areas are getting some much needed rain in parts of Arizona, for California and Nevada, getting into parts of Oregon now, and Utah, and get into Idaho. So really, any rain they get is welcome, but man, they have been dealing with those flash flooding, and in that terrain, they can only handle about a ½ inch per hour. But some of these rainfall rates are 1 inch, sometimes approaching 2 inches per hour, and that's what makes it dangerous, almost deadly at times. So you definitely have to be on the lookout for flash flooding and those warnings that come up quick. Here's Alaska having to deal with some of the drought as well. The Aleutian Islands, parts of Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. So you can definitely see much of the South is not going to be impacted with the drought, where they've seen a lot of heavier rains as of late. So, but let's take a look at the latest high resolution model. What we have going on. We finally have that little invest coming ashore. That's dumping some very heavy rain in upper portions of Florida here, just right off the coastline of southeastern Georgia. We also have another boundary that's kicking off a round of showers and thunderstorms and some very large hail and damaging winds, which we'll go over here in a little bit. But yeah, portions of Minnesota, getting into northern Wisconsin here, northern Michigan as well. But we also have to deal with some very intense flash flooding happening right now in portions of Utah, getting into portions of California here, into Nevada, as well as those numerous flash flood warnings are happening really as we speak. And so they've been ongoing flash flooding out there. But man, the story today is that enhanced risk for severe weather, and this is now we have not only a hatched risk for some very large hail later on this afternoon, in and around the Fargo, North Dakota area, Duluth, Minnesota, into Moorhead, Superior, West Fargo, North Dakota. Those areas will be susceptible. The conditions are favorable for supercells, and Boeing storm complex is capable of very large hail and damaging winds. You're talking 70+ mile per hour. So that can do some car damage to your car. That's the intensity. Whenever you see that hatched risk, that's the potential of that 2-inch plus diameter. So that's the concern of cars, to get them under cover, as well as the home damage too on the roof. So this is some serious stuff that could be happening later on this afternoon, getting into the early evening hours, and parts of getting into Duluth, even into parts of Fargo here into Grand Forks area. All these areas were going to be under the gun, but there's also another pocket in and around North Carolina as well as Virginia that could pick up some heavier punch as well. In fact, the winds are going to be prevalent too. Like I mentioned, they're going to be having those 70+ mile per hour wind potential with those downbursts, those microbursts, those straight line winds, these stronger thunderstorms. You got a lot of heat with these thunderstorms. But up to the north, you also have a cold front that's going to be sagging south. So there's a cold layer aloft. So that's why these storms are going to be capable of that very large hail potential. But at the same time, as they collapse, they're going to be having that downburst winds, those microburst winds, and that could cause a lot of tree damage as well. So that is the concern for these areas as we go into later on this afternoon into the evening hours. So, but they've already have a severe thunderstorm watch into places of North Carolina and Virginia, from Durham all the way up to Charlottesville, Virginia, into Lynchburg. These areas in yellow here could be under the gun of seeing some of that ping pong size hail upwards to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts between now and 8 o'clock this evening. So essentially for the next 4 to 5 hours, you could be seeing some strong supercell thunderstorms in and around your area that could come in quick in a big way with a lot of lightning. That could be deadly too, as well as those downburst winds, and some of that larger hail won't be as intense as you're going to see in Fargo, but still be susceptible some of that ping pong size hail later on into the early evening hours. But if you flip to the other side of the coin as we go towards the west, like I mentioned, we've been dealing with those flash floodings into Arizona and parts of New Mexico. Now, a lot of that heavier precipitation is gravitating further north. So now into places like Zion's National Park, which is a pretty good tourist spot, especially right now. A lot of people on vacation. On the south side happening right now, we've got flash flooding warnings, and just the park rangers just notified they actually had 2 inches of rain just in the last hour. So anybody within those canyons there could be susceptible for that very dangerous flash flooding that's happening, and you want to get out of there quick, because a lot of times you can get trapped and have nowhere to go in that neck of the woods. So that's a very dangerous spot. So yeah, on the south side, there's a lot of heavier rain approaching the park as we speak. And that's why they have those flash flood warnings, and already some of that heavier rain has fallen. But yeah, the Storm Prediction Center, the Weather Prediction Center has highlighted that slight risk for excessive rainfall for part of the park, parts of California, getting into Nevada here with that very heavy rain of that, even that 1 to 2 inch. Remember, these locations, the flood guidance only has the potential to hold about a ½ inch. Anything over that causes flash flooding in these areas. So when you hear reports of getting 2 inches, I mean 4 times in what they can hold, the threshold, that's some serious stuff, guys. And that's going to cause that dangerous flash flooding to ramp up quick. And that's the concern in these areas. But with these boundaries here, with those storms that come in into the Carolinas, yeah, some of those could be dropping some heavy rains as well. So not only you're dealing with the larger hail, the damaging winds, but you're also going to have to be dealing with some of that flash flooding in and around North Carolina as well as Virginia. But yeah, as we go into tomorrow, that storm threat just continues. So I do feel there's about a 3-day punch here where I think that the monsoon subsides a tad bit tomorrow. It's not going to be as intense, but these thunderstorms to the north along that boundary there, where that first initial wave of that cold front's be sagging south, that's the concern of some of these could be larger supercell thunderstorms. In fact, they already have a slight risk. Even by tomorrow, this might even bump up to an enhanced risk like what we saw today. But that zone will be under the gun in and around the Minneapolis area, into St. Paul, into Bloomington, Plymouth. Those areas will be more susceptible to seeing those larger hailstones tomorrow and that damaging winds as that traverses right along that boundary there, into the upper plains. But like I mentioned, that excessive rainfall does tend to subside a little bit, but you're still going to have an active monsoon, just not as active of what you've been seeing as of late. But you've already added a lot of rainfall just in a short amount of time over the last several weeks, and you've got more to come. But the good thing is it does spread further north. And now we're getting parts of like northern Utah, northern Colorado, parts of Wyoming, parts of Idaho. I mean, even parts of northern California. Yes, I mean, the monsoon is alive and well this year, and it's bringing some much needed rain. Very welcome rain, but unfortunately sometimes it comes in too fast, too quick, and that's where the concern is. But yeah, right along those boundaries here where we got that invest for tomorrow, it's still going to be causing problems with those heavier rains and flash flooding in and around the coastline here of Georgia into the Carolinas. But then we also have that other boundary with that those stronger supercells are going to be impacting some of those heavier rains. The Northeast, guys, I mean, there's been numerous cities. We're talking all-time wettest Julys on record. They've had a lot of rain in this neck of the woods, and they're going to be adding to those totals as we end the month of July. So it's pretty wet. I mean, some of these areas have already picked up 13, 14 inches in some of these cities into the Northeast in July, and you're going to be adding to some of those totals as we go through the week. But as we get to the day on that Wednesday time frame, we still have that storm threat pretty alive and well in and around the same areas again. So you get, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday with these all storms are going to be packing a punch as that boundary just kind of sits there and stalls, and they'll be traversing along that on the southeast side of it. Yeah, so still Milwaukee, Minneapolis, St. Paul, getting into Madison, a lot of those same areas will be a little bit more susceptible to seeing those stronger supercell thunderstorms, but it will start to sink southeastward as you go into the afternoon, and then kind of fade a little bit. But still in Fort Wayne going into Pittsburgh, you could be seeing some of those stronger storms in and around the DC area as we go through the day on Wednesday. There's your heavier rains as we go through Wednesday into parts of Wisconsin here into Michigan. And there's your heavier rains with the monsoon as we go through the day on Wednesday. Like I mentioned, not as intense, but still there, dumping some much needed rain, but still the flash flooding is the concern, even going into Wednesday. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video and definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.